everyone. My name is Melanie Turgeon, and it's a pleasure for me to welcome you to St. Josaphat Cathedral, which is my home parish. And I grew up in this parish, and now I can share it with my family. I'm also the conductor of Kappella Kyrie Slavic Chamber Choir. And today I have the pleasure of having a conversation with Peter Togni before the concert. Peter is an award-winning composer. He's a fabulous musician, plays the piano, plays the organ. He's an amazing jazz musician as well. And he's a former CBC broadcaster. He is a church musician who knows what it's like when choristers don't show up. And he's also a father, a grandfather, and just a really great guy. So it's been a pleasure to spend a couple days with Peter, the last couple days. And, you know, in our conversations, he shared with me how fortunate he was to work for CBC for all those years, because he said that it really exposed him to an awful lot of music that he probably never would have had the chance to know about. So my first question for Peter tonight is, what has influenced this composition of St. John Chrysostom? Maybe what people encouraged you to write it, what composers are inspirational to this composition. So I'll let Peter take over and answer that question.
Thanks so much. It's been great spending time with you too. I would say that the first thing that inspired the composition was actually the first time that I went to a divine liturgy. It was in Halifax at St. Vladimir's Orthodox Church. And just walking into this sense of wonder and joy and of course the icons and the candles, but just this sense of feeling at home. And also liturgies that I attended in the Byzantine Rite as well. So just the liturgy and the miracle, if you will, of the never-ending miracle of the Eucharist is really behind the work. Musically, the biggest influence is Rachmaninoff. I fell in love with his Liturgy of St. John Chrysostom. I was actually driving some of my kids to school in Nova Scotia, actually in a pretty rough part of Dartmouth, and I had just put in the CD of the liturgy, and it was the movement "We Praise Thee" or "We Sing Thee" as it's sometimes translated as, and just the sheer beauty of that in a very sort of unfortunate situation with surroundings, but the beauty of Rachmaninoff's music and the idea of God's love for us through music drew me into the work. And then I had the good fortune to sing in St. Vladimir's Orthodox Church for about 5 years. And the priest there, Father David Edwards, who actually I heard was here for a while, and sadly Father David died in the summer, but he encouraged me to write the work. And I began. The other influences are some Ukrainian music, particularly Silvestrov, Valentin Silvestrov, and of course Wodniacki, and another beautiful work about the requiem for the famine of Ukraine that really moved me. I was inspired by works of John Tavener, works of Arvo Pärt, Igor Stravinsky. You'll find in here occasionally William Byrd. There's a little bit of Togni in here, but that was a lot. And so those were the main influences. But I would say that for me the big part was just the rhythm of the liturgy that I was fortunate enough to be able to sing. The other influences in here are my Roman Catholic Gregorian chant, as there are some definite Gregorian chant lines with the priest and the deacon. Not totally, but just little Gregorian kind of inflections by times. Yeah.
You made a reference to a term, kind of a phrase, I should say, icons of sound, when we were in rehearsal process. And I just wanted to ask you, is that your own, are those your own words? Or is it something that, you know, you kind of were inspired from somebody else and you kind of absorbed it and kind of went with it?
Well, it's become a personal theme, but the first time I heard it was actually John Tavener was talking about icons becoming sound, and also Rachmaninoff talked about it. And in my own music, I've always had this sense of light becoming sound, and that's always been a theme of mine. But I was really inspired by what Tavener had to say about looking at an icon, and somehow the icon, the reflection can somehow, I mean, it's impossible for light to become sound, but as with music you can do anything, so you can make it possible. And that's why it's just so beautiful to be in here for this performance with all these icons and all this light, and it's just the perfect setting for this piece. And it's really amazing, in fact, that the piece was, the world premiere was in Toronto with the Elmer Iser singers and the Laura singers exactly a year ago from today, which is the Alberta premiere. So, but this is a more perfect setting because we sang it at beautiful churches. It was St. Basil's and then the Cathedral in Guelph. But they didn't have the icons that we have here, and it was a different. And I think the wonderful thing too about, of course, this liturgy is that it's the liturgy of St. John Chrysostom is celebrated by the Orthodox and also the Byzantine Catholics, and they both share in that, and it's beautiful. And I love both traditions, you know. So.
Can you give us a sense of what to expect? And what I mean by that is, when you conceived of this piece, did you always conceive it to be a concert piece? Did you ever think that a super duper church choir could ever pull it off? I doubt it after being a singer. But what was your vision for it? Always a concert piece?
I think my sound, oh there we are, sound's back, yeah. Well, yes, it was sort of twofold, because Father Edwards was hoping that this would be a piece for parish choirs, but I started out writing this concert setting of it, promising that I will write a parish version of it, which I haven't done yet, but I will. But yeah, very, very much like the Rachmaninoff and the Tchaikovsky, this is a concert work. Most parish choirs would find it too difficult, or some of it. So it's the idea that, yes, it's a concert work, but its heart and soul is in the liturgy, and obviously it's a sacred work, and its heartbeat is in the church. But I also conceive of it in a kind of Franciscan way, of when St. Francis took the atmosphere of the monasteries into the world, you know. So there's something about, I'm hoping, the sound, like that. There are times when it's very, very romantic. I mean, there's times it's, you know, in fact, a few occasions I quote Rachmaninoff directly. Haven't heard from the family yet, but I think it's probably okay. At times even there's a feeling of Anton Bruckner here and there. And then a lot of the harmonies that I like to use are a little bit more dissonant, a little bit what Father David used to refer to as interference, right? So I like to think of it as sort of angels, sort of the kind of wake-up calls, and they're a little bit of a sound that takes the essence of the work out of the church also, as well as being inside, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, the dissonances, I think.
Yeah.
Take it out of these walls into the
Take
world.
it out of the walls.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in fact, there are a few jazz chords in here, particularly referencing Bill Evans. Why Bill Evans? Can I say this?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, this is a great story. First of all, I love Bill Evans. And secondly, did you know that Bill Evans' last relationship in his life was a woman that he met in Edmonton. He was playing a jazz gig here, and he met this woman, and they fell in love. She came with Bill to New York, and she lived the last 6 months of her life with Bill Evans before he died. But Bill Evans' mother was Russian Orthodox, and Bill used to like to go to the church, and those Russian Orthodox and sometimes Ukrainian Orthodox harmonies he worked into his jazz chords. So I said, I'm going to take some of Bill's chords and work them into this piece. And I thought it's really cool that here we are, here I am in Edmonton where he had this experience. Yeah, but it's not jazz. Don't get me wrong. It's not. But there are chords that have that sort of similar warmth to them. For example. Yeah.
How has your kind of personal faith journey shaped your choral composition? So what I mean by that is, have you just come to write Orthodox music more recently, or did you kind of dabble in it earlier in your compositional career, or did you write mostly for the Roman Catholic Church? So Peter was born and raised in the Roman Catholic Church. So was it that kind of church that influenced your early sacred choral music, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was introduced to Roman Catholic Church music by my late father. Victor Togni was an amazing organist and composer whose tragedy was killed when he was 30. So I was 5 when he died, but he was a great organist and studied with many of the greats, like Nadia Boulanger, Olivier Messiaen. They were friends. He knew all these people. But and Dad was the organist at St. Michael's Cathedral in Toronto and at St. Basil's. And growing up, my mom had all these recordings of my father's CBC broadcasts. And so I grew up, the first sound I can actually remember was the sound of the organ, because my dad used to take me as a baby in the basket and put it on top of the organ while he was practicing. So all those organ sounds, went through my body, and it's probably, why I'm as weird as I am, I guess. So that was the first exposure, and then also to Gregorian chant through my father, and then I started to write sacred choral music when I was about 20, and then I had jobs as playing organ and conducting choirs, and so but actually, rewind, my mother married again, and my second father, Jim Fox, he had these wonderful recordings. He had one particular recording of Orthodox music. It was the Church of Saint Sophia in Bulgaria. And I remember being 14 years old and hearing that sound, and man, I thought it was just the most incredible sound. And I just kind of filed it away somehow. Who would know, that sound would end up being a part of my music? And I mean, I was a weird kid, I had pictures of Glenn Gould on my locker, and so I was a little different, but that music really got into my soul, and I sort of just filed it away. And then fast forward to 2018 in Halifax, going to St. Vladimir's, hearing the Divine Liturgy. And then, actually, even before that, a lot of my other music was influenced by not only Roman Catholic music, but Orthodox hymnody, and so that was already kind of part of the fabric, but I really kind of woke up in 2018, yeah.
Neat. On a lighter side, what would be the ideal day for you, Peter? Just by looking at you, I can picture you on a Harley, driving through the mountains and just loving life. But what would be like what are some of your favorite pastimes? What do you do so that we can just get to know you as a person as well? You mentioned that you like cooking. You do most of the cooking. You spoil your grandchildren and then send them home, fill them up with sugar and send them home. Yeah. What's a good day for you? Watching the Blue Jays? That's a good day for me.
Not a good day for me. Blue Jays. That was sad. A great day for me always begins with a really strong cappuccino, probably one or two, and a little meditation, some silence. And actually, one of my favorite things is cooking. I love going to the grocery store, and I shop every day. I don't shop for the week, to see what's on special, or I feel like making this, and just the zen of chopping the onions with the right wine, and then generally putting on either Miles Davis or Bill Evans while I'm chopping, and cooking. I absolutely love it. It's very relaxing for me. Yeah. I also love Newfoundland dogs. I don't have one anymore, but I'd like to get another one. She died a number of years ago. If you listened to me on the CBC, you would have known about Panda, the Newfoundland. And she was a character on our radio show. But I love Newfs, yeah.
Good.
And good Scotch.
Good Scotch, okay. Yeah. That's wonderful. All right.
But the Harley would be nice.
So Harley would be nice, yeah. Okay. Good. Well, I have to go downstairs and get ready, and Peter is going to find his seat in the church. And I really hope you enjoy this wonderful composition. That's been such a pleasure for us to put together. For the two choirs to collaborate, it's been a real joy to have that opportunity.
One more thing before you go.
Sure.
I'd just like to say how welcomed I feel here. Melanie has been fantastic, and so has Michael. And Laura Craig, and just like I went to King's and spoke to her Melanie's students, and there was a Divine Liturgy yesterday, and that was wonderful. And just also, I'm really thrilled that it was at the rehearsal today, and I turned around and I looked at a person at the very back of the church. I thought, that looks like my sister, and it is. My sister's flown all the way here from Ontario for the concert, Allison. And also I have really good friends from Calgary and St. Albert who are here as well. So that means a lot to me also. Yeah. So thanks for welcoming me so beautifully, and
you're welcome.
It's just so great to be here.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.